So, friends, welcome to this lecture on liberalism, the fundamentals. So, we have been talking about the fundamental constituents of a liberal society. So, a part of this discussion, we have listed out some of the important constituents of a liberal society, and they were, as we have discussed in the previous lecture, individualism, freedom, reason, justice, toleration, liberal state, constitutionalism, and liberal democracy. These principles are generally considered to be the fundamental constituents of a liberal society. And last lecture, we have discussed two important principles of liberalism. They are individualism and freedom. And friends, today's lecture, we are moving on to the third point, that is reason. Friends, as we know, in 1453, I think 1453, I forgot the exact date. It was in that year, Nicholas Copernicus, who published his famous book, which proposed a heliocentric theory of the world. That idea, the heliocentric world, was in fact a departure from the earlier idea of a geocentric world. And the Christian church during the medieval age told the believers that the whole world, the nature, which is a grand scheme, a grand design, created by a designer or a creator. And we, the human beings, are part of that nature. That said, church says, the Christian church, let alone Christian church, almost all religions tell the same thing, that there is a grand design towards which man has no access and man has no ability to understand that a designer is there. And we are not supposed to inquire into that design. Why? Because we don't have that mental capability, or whatever may be. We don't have that potential to enter into the secret of nature. But church recognized the fact that, which in 3rd century, Ptolemy said, the earth is the center of the world. Before him, the Hellenic philosopher Plato has recognized that earth is the center of the world and all celestial objects are rotating the earth. And church recognized that. And friends, it was in the 15th century that Copernicus stated a heliocentric theory by which he proposed a rational idea, a radical idea, that Earth is not the center of the world, Earth is just rotating. It's a planet that is rotating the sun. Friends, this created shock waves across the Christian world in Europe. This idea by Copernicus proposed or reveal or expose an important fact in human history, that man is able to understand the secrets of the nature, because man got a logical reason. Man got a reason in his body which he can use to understand the secrets of the nature. Friends, you can see that from Nicholas Copernicus to the publication of Isaac Newton's Principia, a series of scientific inventions happened in the European world. Francis Bacon, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, who published the Starry Messenger after looking at the sky through a Venetian glass, found that there are so many stars in the horizon, which earlier we were not able to find out. And through his Venetian glass called a telescope, who found that there are so many stars, and he called it the Milky Way. And he wrote this idea in a book called The Starry Messenger. And from Galileo to René Descartes, and finally Isaac Newton. Friends, 16th and 17th century proved that man can understand the secrets of the nature. Why? Because man got a specific capacity which no other animal species occupy. What is it? Reason. Man got reason, a logical mind. So, friends, these discoveries of the 17th and 16th century formed some basic sciences: mathematics, astronomy, chemistry, physics, biology. Some founding assumptions were proposed, and these founding assumptions later became the foundations of enlightenment, where up to the 17th century God was the root to secrets of the nature. Now God is replaced by man, and man is the root to secret of the world. This idea got popularity by 17th century, right from the time of Copernicus. So this idea is endorsed by the liberals. Friends, liberals believe that man got a specific power called reason. The central theme of enlightenment was also reason. That we are in a bondage. Enlightenment believe that human beings are in a bondage. And how we can come out of that bondage? What are the bondages? That we are bound by religion. We are enslaved by faith. We are enslaved by the very irrational idea of God. How many of you have seen God? Nobody in the world had ever seen God. God is our mental, an illusion. God is an illusion. Can anybody prove the existence of a God? Is there any evidence for the fact that there existed a God? So this was the crux of Enlightenment reason. And we have to escape from this religion bondages, these faith bondages. We are enslaved by irrationality, faith, God, religion, superstitions. The only way to escape is to apply your reason and find out truth. And truth is there in the nature. How we can reach there? By applying your rational mind. So by understanding truth in the nature, we can liberate ourselves. So rationalism is the basis of enlightenment. And rationalism believes that human society is in a steady progress. Human society is in a steady progress. Man is advancing from time to time. And rationalism believes that there is a rational structure in the nature. And we can understand that rational structure, the celestial bodies, life, birth, death, plant growth. All these secrets in the nature can be understood because there is a rational structure, and human beings are also part of that rational structure. And we can understand the rational structure by critical inquiry. How do we get that critical inquiry? We can get it from mathematics, biology, human anatomy, physics, botany, chemistry. So many branches of knowledge are developed along rationalist line. So reason can emancipate humankind from the grip of custom and tradition. Reason is highlighting the importance of debate and argument. Friends, there are so many problems. Of course, there are so many problems in the society. For example, you are saying that you want to study a particular topic, and that topic is available in a book in the college library. And college library has only one copy, and there are 2 people or 3 people are making claims that I should get that book. Friends, of course, in a liberal society, there will be conflict. And liberals tell you that the best way to resolve that conflict is applying reason. How reason can solve that conflict? By debate and argument. You can resolve that conflict, that making claims to that book, only one book, but 3 claimants. There are 3 claims to that book, and we can resolve that issue, that conflict of interest, by applying reason. And reason will enable you make arguments, debates, and finally arrive at conclusion. So we can resolve disputes peacefully. We can resolve all the disputes peacefully. Violence, bloodshed, and death are the last resort of human society. We should never go for violence, bloodshed, and death. That is not a rational thing. War is not a rational thing. Violence is not a rational thing. Hate is not a rational thing. Death is not a rational thing. So you have to avoid aggression. You can use aggression only for self-defense. So this way, liberals argue that this is the basis of a liberal society through reason or rationality. So this is the third basis of a society based on liberal principles: individualism, freedom, and reason. And fourth point, liberals will argue that, which is the basis of a liberal society, is justice, notion of justice. We had extensive lectures on justice. And what is a liberal justice? Liberals will argue each person should get his or her due. liberals argue that their society is committed to foundational equality. Foundational equality. That is liberal notion of justice. Foundational equality. What is foundational equality? The foundational equality is the idea that all of us are being born equal. We all have equal claims for things in the nature. The only issue is how we distribute resources in the nature according to the what is due to each one of you. Clear? We all have equal claims to things in the nature or resources in the nature. That is called foundational equality, because we are all born free. So we should get what is due to us. So the point is, how do you distribute that resources? And here, liberals tell you that you will get resources because of the fact that you are a citizen. And all of us have equal citizenship in our society. And you will have equal entitlement to resources. And the point is that when you give resources to citizen, there should not be any privileges. Privileges are irrational. Privileges based on irrational factors such as, in our society, caste is irrational. In European society, race, irrational. Gender is irrational. Liberals tell you that gender is irrational. There is no such thing as gender. Liberals tell you that. Color is irrational. Religion is irrational. Religion is irrational. Faith is irrational. So, rewarding resources based on irrational privileges is not justice. Rather, let us give equal opportunity for all the people in the society. That means all of you should have equal entitlement to resources, and you can use your merit, you can use your labor for getting wealth. And if you hard work, you will get more resources. So labor is the basis of resources. Human labor is the basis of resources. And liberals tell you that if you are not able to use your labor, society will help you. Because not all the people are equally endowed with the same faculties. Some people may be challenged, optically challenged, physically challenged, or mentally challenged. Such people should be given special priorities. So liberals believe in a meritocratic society. What is meritocracy? Meritocracy is the idea that merit or intelligence plus labor, merit or intelligence plus labor is the basis of society. Distribution of resources should be on the basis of merit plus labor. Distribution of resources must be based on merit plus labor. And there is no question of luck. There is no question of luck. That some people will argue that some people are wealthy because it is because of luck factor. Not at all. There is no such thing as luck in the nature. Nature hasn't designed anything called luck. Luck is socially created. We can also remove that factor in the society. If we have a very good structure of distribution of resources, we can remove luck factor, or what may be called fortune. So, society based on luck is a bad society. Luck means you will become a rich person if you are born to the family of Reliance or Tata. That is not the basis of you enjoying your citizenship. By birth, no matter if you are born in the family of Reliance or born in the family of Tata or born in the family of an ordinary coolie, all of you have equal claims to resources in the nature. Luck is not the basis of distributing resources. This is what liberals tell about justice. This is called liberal justice. Friends, this is the fourth point of a liberal principle. Fourth principle of a liberal society: individualism, freedom, reason, justice. And friends, there is another very important point of a liberal society is toleration. Toleration, forbearance, the willingness to accept the views and actions which are different from your own. That is the virtue of a true society. What is the virtue of a true society? Friends, if you are born in a very good society, such society will have forbearance. What is forbearance? It is your openness or willingness to accept that person or this person is speaking ideas or having action that is at variance or that is different from my own. I shall have a responsibility to respect his action, his views, even though it differs from mine. That is called toleration. Willingness to accept. That is, a liberal society is characterized by willingness to accept moral, cultural, and political diversity. In a sense, it is called pluralism. Toleration otherwise called pluralism. Pluralism means a belief in diversity or choice, or the political theory that power should be widely and evenly dispersed in society. Political power should be widely and and evenly dispersed in society. But liberals prefer tolerance for pluralism and diversity. They never prefer the word diversity, rather they prefer the word tolerance. That their society is committed to toleration. How much you love your enemy is the index of the quality of your society. The quality of your society is based on the fact that how much you love your enemy, how much you love your opponent, how much you love people who differs with you. Lesser the tolerance, brute the society. If you are lesser tolerance, your society is an unlivable society, most hostile society. And this liberal notion of tolerance was famously stated by French philosopher Voltaire. Some of you might have come across that saying of Voltaire. You remember, Voltaire once said, a memorable saying. The French philosopher once said, I detest what you say, but will defend to the death your right to say it. One of the beautiful sentences of liberal political philosophy of tolerance. നിങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നതൊന്നും ഞാൻ സ്നേഹിക്കണമെന്നില്ല, ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടണമെന്നില്ല. പക്ഷെ അത് പറയുവാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള അവകാശത്തിന് വേണ്ടി ഞാൻ മരിക്കാനും തയ്യാറാണ്. ഐ ഡിറ്റസ്റ്റ് വാട്ട് യു സേ, but will defend to the death your right to say it. See, this is the beautiest, powerful maxim of liberal toleration. Love your enemy. It also represents personal autonomy. That is, how one individual behave towards another individual. There are a set of rules in liberal society how you should behave with the other individual. So this liberal case of toleration emerged in the 17th century Europe by the writings of John Milton and John Locke. Locke said, the government and its purpose is to protect life, liberty and property. The government and its purpose is to protect life, liberty and property. It has no right to meddle. It has no right to meddle in the care of men's soul. Your soul is yours. The content of your character is yours. State has no role in shaping the content of your character. So toleration is the content of your character, and state has no role in shaping that. That is private act. That should come from within. No forces should compel you do this or that. You should feel that I should behave this way. And this idea was later elaborated by John Stuart Mill in his famous book on liberty. I think you may remember that book. Many times I have told you in my previous lectures. And J.S. Mill justified toleration. And he equated toleration with a free market society. He believed that in a marketplace of ideas, truth will emerge. In a communal society, truth will not emerge because communists will always uphold one version. Fascists will uphold only one version. Feminists will uphold only one version. Instead, you have a society where it is a marketplace of ideas, opposing ideas. In such a society, truth will emerge. Multiplicity of, human experiences, or diversity. So diversity is the motor of social progress. J.S. Mill argued. So he argued that our society is threatened by dull conformism. It is threatened by dull conformism. That is, what is that dull conformism? That is, majority is ruling in democracy. That is not fair. So you can form a government if you have 51% of seats in the house of the people. But friends, what about that 49%? That 49% is also part of your society. But you are not paying attention to that 49%. You are paying attention to that group of people who got only 2% margin. Only 2% margin. Majority is becoming dictatorial. That is why, friends, J.S. Mill has said the famous maxim of toleration, just like Voltaire. Voltaire had famously said a maxim of toleration. And here J.S. Mill also saying one of the famous maxims of toleration in a liberal society. What is that? He was famously saying, it was a saying in his book on liberty. It was like this. You can refer it from Google also. If all mankind minus one, if all mankind minus one, were of one opinion, if all mankind minus one were of one opinion, and only one person were of the contrary opinion, mankind would be, keep carefully listen, mankind would be no more justified. Mankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing the mankind. What a beautiful maxim of tolerance. Did you get the meaning of that maxim, friends? Are you able to understand the meaning of that maxim, friends? No? Do you want me to explain that?
Yes, sir.
Friends? Do you want me to explain? Yeah. വേണം.
Yes, sir.
അതായത് ഒരു സമൂഹത്തില് 99% ആളുകളും ഒരു കാര്യം വിശ്വസിക്കുകയും എന്നാൽ അതിലെ ഒരു വ്യക്തി അതിൽ നിന്ന് വിഭിന്നമായ ഒരു അഭിപ്രായം പറയുകയും എന്നാൽ ആ ഒരു വ്യക്തിയുടെ അഭിപ്രായം ആ 99% അഭിപ്രായത്തിന് വിട്ടുകൊടുക്കുകയും അങ്ങനെ 99% ആ ഒരു വ്യക്തിയെ അടിച്ചമർത്തുന്നതിന് ഒരു കാരണവശാലും ന്യായീകരിക്കാൻ കഴിയില്ല എന്തപേക്ഷിച്ച് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു വ്യക്തി അയാളുടെ അഭിപ്രായം കൊണ്ട് ആ 99% അടിച്ചമർത്തുന്നതിനെ നമ്മൾ പരിഗണിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു വ്യക്തി ആ സമൂഹത്തെ മുഴുവൻ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ അഭിപ്രായം കൊണ്ട് അടിച്ചമർത്തുന്നതിനെ ന്യായീകരിക്കാം. പക്ഷെ ആരെ ഒരിക്കലും ന്യായീകരിക്കാൻ കഴിയില്ല? ആ 99% ആളുകൾ ആ ഒരു വ്യക്തിയെ ആ അഭിപ്രായം കൊണ്ട് അടിച്ചമർത്തുന്നതിനെ നമുക്ക് ഒരു കാരണവശാലും ന്യായീകരിക്കുവാൻ കഴിയില്ല. ക്ലിയർ?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So one of the beautiful maxims of liberal toleration. So that's the motor of social progress is toleration, friends. And this was famously stated by very two important liberal writers, Voltaire and John Stuart Mill. J.S. Mill famously said this idea in his book on liberty, 1859. So sympathy for toleration and diversity is the basis of a balanced society. Friends, this is the fifth principle of a liberal society, and if we can see that, and there is a few more principles. One is the liberal state. Liberals prefer a state, but that state is a minimal state, not a very powerful state. Liberal society, as I told you, is based on balance and tolerance. It is based on balance and tolerance. And they believe that balance and tolerance in society would not naturally emerge. Why? Because we are all free individuals, and at the end of the day, what will happen? We will look into ourselves, not to other people. So, we should not let individuals to create an anarchic society where there is no power. So we should not let individuals to create a society in which there is no power center. So liberals prefer that there should be a power center in society where all of us obey. That is called political obligation. We should have some kind of obligation towards an authority. That is also good for a qualified life. And how is it possible? They are saying that it is possible through law and government. It is possible through law and government. That is, individuals may abuse their right. They may ignore the right of other people. They may ignore the contract, the contractual obligation. Liberals believe that state is the product of a contract, social contract. That we are all in a perpetual contract with authority. But there are chances that we may ignore our contractual obligation. And we may pose threats to other people because we are always inward looking, self centered people. We always wanted to satisfy our needs. That's why liberals propose a contract theory of state. And we all have certain obligations towards the contract. And according to John Locke, the contract creates a minimal state. That minimal state is called a liberal state. And what is the role of a minimal state or a liberal state? They say that state is a necessary evil. We need that evil. State is an evil. That's why they call this is a necessary evil. And we need that evil. Otherwise, our society becomes some kind of an anarchy. But liberal state will not enjoy so many powers. Liberal state has only very few powers. And it got power to protect your rights. What is its power? It has only the power to protect your rights, your liberty, your property. See how beautifully, liberals defended a liberal state. Why the state we created? We created that state because it will give us protection to our own rights. That is the notion of liberal state. That is otherwise called a minimal state. And another point, friends, you have to keep in mind about a liberal society is constitutionalism. Friends, what is constitutionalism? Constitutionalism is the practice of a limited government. Liberals argue that we can practice a limited government by way of constitutionalism, otherwise called Rex Lex. Rex Lex. Rex Lex means law rules, not humans rule. Why humans should not be allowed to rule? It's very clear. See, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That if I give you power, definitely, friends, you will misuse that. That is human character. If I give you power, always, if I have given you power, certainly, what is the role of power? Power is to use it against other people. Certainly, you will use power against other people. Otherwise, why should we possess power? So, in such a situation, we should not allow people to hold power. Rather, people should hold power through law. So, our government is there. Mr. Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of India. Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan is the Chief Minister of India. Friends, they got power. How? They are in power through a legal process. They are in power through a procedure. That means procedure will rule us. That means state is laws, not humans. State is lot of rules and regulation. That is state. For everything in the state, there are rules and laws. All of us are required to, all of us are obliged towards that laws. And highest law of that, state is called constitution, which rules all other rules. Constitution laws are the highest laws. Friends, you believe in a God and you think that God created the world. But friends, that notion is also under the constitution. There is no system of thought, there is no laws beyond the constitutional laws. So Supreme Court saying that Hindu women can enter the sanctum sanctorum of Ayyappa temple in Shabarimala. Friends, who will enter Shabarimala temple should not be decided by faith. No, it is not possible. That is not the virtue of a liberal society. The virtue of a liberal society is laws. And Supreme Court interpret that laws in India allow Hindu women to enter the sanctum sanctorum of Ayyappa temple. Maybe Ayyappa is a celibate god. Maybe Ayyappa is a celibate god. But that doesn't matter, when it comes to women's right to enter into a temple. By law, the constitutional mandate, that is called the constitutional mandate, that Article 14 says that all the people in India who are born in India are equal in the eyes of the law. When we apply that law to all the Indians, women in India are having the right to enter into the sanctum sanctorum of Shabarimala temple, where even though the god is a celibate. Friends, religion is not above law. Faith is not above law. Law, that is the supreme. And who created the law? The people. We the people created that law. And that law is the product of our rational thought, reason. So that is the basis of constitutionalism. You should have a society based on rules that is created by human will. And that should rule, that should provide all aspects of life. And this is not just simply a document relating the relationship between state and government. That governs everything in the every realm of life in the society. Constitutionalism. That is the basis of a liberal society. And friends, finally, liberals proposes a notion of liberal democracy. What is liberal democracy? Liberal democracy is a type of representative democracy. It's a representative democracy where government is to protect the rights of the citizen. And how government is formed? Government is formed through consent. Government is formed through consent. And in India, for example, how the Narendra Modi government got the consent? They got consent in 2019. What happened in 2019? 2019, India went for general election. And people gave the mandate. It gave votes. And votes is the consent. And we have willingly accepted a second term for Narendra Modi government. That is the basis of the government. And the government will remain in power so long as you will give that consent. The moment you withdraw that consent, the government will collapse. That means government represents your will, your interest, your aspiration, your dreams, your future, that you want to live in a better society. That is your view of future. That I want to live in a good society. I should get employment. I should get education. My family should have a good life. That is your view of future. And you think that government will best represent your will. That's why you have voted that government to power. That is the concern of that government. And that government should fulfill your aspirations. If not, that government has no legitimacy to hold power. So legitimacy, consent is the basis of a liberal democracy. And this idea was proposed famously by Alexis de Tocqueville. And this is the basis of American Constitution, the Philadelphia Convention, French Revolution. These are all the basis of liberal democracy, French Revolution, American Declaration of Independence, and the writings of Alexis de Tocqueville. These all formed, or the writings of J.S. Mill, these all form the basis of a liberal democratic society, that is consent is the basis of government. And friends, I think I can wind up this lecture by these points, and now the floor is open for discussion, friends. Yes, you can have questions.
Sir.